Hello, scrappers, recyclers, and investors. Welcome to Shark Scrapper Live, where we're talking about things like precious metals, industrial metals, and stocks of publicly traded companies that operate in the sphere that influences the world of recycling and scrapping. It is great to be back and to have you all in the chat. Hello, Scrapping Irish. See you scrapping Earl Fowler, Scrapping on the Fly, Bush Dog, Wannabe Scrapper, and JCT. Welcome. I know that some of you are dealing with a little bit chilly weather right now, so hopefully all those furnaces and all those shops and garages are working and you all are nice and warm. All right, give me a thumbs up so I know that the video and the audio quality is working and you all can hear and see me. Seeing me is not terribly critical. I'm not going to get any better looking, but you do want to hear me. All right, we've got some interesting stuff to talk about today. We're going to start out talking about silver. And in particular, what we're going to do is ask the question, is silver following gold in this week's recent climb? Hey, Mike, great to have you here, bud. Chris, hey, welcome, Chris. Great to see you. Then we are going to, of course, have our safety note for the day. Following that, we're going to talk about two very interesting stocks. I think you're going to find them rather cleansing. And YouTube comments for a wrap up. So let's get right into what's going on with the world of silver. So here's our silver spot price. This is the 24-hour. Again, this is on the APMEX website. You all know that I like to use APMEX. It's one of the places that I buy and sell my physical silver, the other one being Kitco. No drama. They get it done. You know, when you buy stuff, it shows up. When you sell stuff, you get your money. It's that easy. Kind of like board sort, you know? So we see that in the last 24 hours, we've had a bit of a climb here for silver. It's up 4.86%. And if we look at the week, we can see, if we push the right buttons anyway, we can see that silver had reached a bit of a plateau here and then had this climb near the end of, going into the weekend. So what's going on? Well, it probably doesn't surprise any of you, because you all are very astute and you pay attention to what's going on in the world, that gold did something very similar, right? So here's the 1 week gold, and here's the 24-hour gold, nice climb. Here's the 1 week gold, and here's the 1 week silver. So gold, kind of a plateau here. It's a little bit, it doesn't stand out as much as the silver, but if you put some lines on it, you can kind of see a similar kind of pattern. Well, fortunately for us, the industry does a good job of comparing gold and silver in what they call the gold to silver ratio. And that helps us to understand, did silver follow gold? If silver was following gold throughout the week, then, hey, Jose, great to see you here, man. Then what you would expect is kind of a not much change in the gold to silver ratio. So here we are for the week. And this is kind of interesting here, right? So we see that the gold to silver ratio, you know what? Let's get a different color. And let's do this one. So we see that the gold to silver ratio kind of dropped here at early in the week. And it's actually, it then kind of flattened out a little bit. I mean, it's bouncing around there, but it's a little bit flat. And so if the gold to silver ratio drops, that means that you don't need as much silver to buy an ounce of gold. So silver was catching up with gold. That we kind of expect this to go on when you see banks running into some challenges. And that's what really was happening for both gold and silver. We've had 3 banks now that have run into trouble here in the U.S. Of various sizes. And let's go over here. There we go. So we had 3 banks in the U.S. that have run into trouble, each for some different kind of reasons. And then the FDIC stepped in to try to protect investors and depositors and such. But when you see one bank fail, there's the concern of the knockoff for more banks that are going to fail. So those banks that are a little bit weaker, a little bit more on the edge, are going to have some trouble. People will start pulling their money, and investors will start getting squeamish, and you can have that kind of thing set up. Now, FDIC stepped right in pretty quick, got right on top of this, so it shouldn't be anything bad like what we saw with 2008. But I'm sure that there's a lot of bankers out there right now that are really looking at the numbers hard and being a little bit concerned. Now, I spoke with a business banker that is a good friend of mine, and I just flat out asked the question, from a banker's perspective, are you concerned? And she was adamant. She said, no, we're, the strong banks, the good banks, they're doing fine. There are investors that are moving from regional and mid-sized banks into the big banks, the big name banks, because they're just sort of following the herd. But she said it's really not that big. There isn't a lot of money that's really giving them any concerns. And she said, they're still lending money the way they were. So now, on a side note, this is kind of interesting. She did say that they are getting a little bit nervous about lending money to people who are investing in office complex spaces. Okay, this has nothing to do with silver or gold or what's going on. I just thought it was interesting that she made the comment that that their bank is starting to get nervous about lending money to investments in office complex spaces. And I guess that's because so many people are working from home, or they're moving out of the urban areas and, away from the downtown areas. There's probably a lot of reasons why that might be going on. But the bottom line is there's no systemic problem in the U.S. banking industry right now. Now, could we see some more banks be challenged? Yeah, we probably could. Hey, Silver Scorpion, great to see you here, man. We probably could. And when we see banks get challenged, we see people go into the safe investments, what they consider to be safe investments, like gold and silver. And that's why we see this rise in both silver and gold here for the last week. Now, if we take a little bit closer look, a little bit broader look, we see that for the month, silver is up 3.18%. For the year to date, it's actually down. So, the people aren't as concerned over, in the big scheme of things. It hasn't gotten that bad yet, but gold is up 9% for a year to date. So I would say, yes, silver is following gold. Most people, when they go to safety in physical metals, they go to gold first, and then silver kind of comes along. And what we would expect to see is the gold to silver ratio will spread, and that will make silver cheaper, and people will start, either gold will come down or silver will come up. And so right now, we're seeing silver follow gold. Now, it's interesting if you look at what let's go back here to this 1 week pattern, because this is where we've seen people moving into the safeties. But when you look at platinum and palladium, which are more industrial kind of metals, it's, you don't see that very obvious kind of plateau that we saw with silver and gold. In fact, you can see here it actually drops off and then goes flat for a while. So then platinum, palladium, a little more industrial and less flight to safety precious metal. So we're not, wouldn't expect to see a whole lot of movement with them the way we are with silver and gold. Any questions? Any concerns? What do you all think? And now here's the other question, because I have to bring this to everybody's attention here. Gold at $1,999.2 per ounce. What do you think? We're going to break 2,000? We're going to break 2,000? Come on. Let's see. When, you know what? Let's take a look here. And let's go back to 1992. And have we seen gold at, we are pushing serious highs here. Yep, we're pushing serious highs. We could be seeing some record highs for gold here. And then if we see record highs for gold, we can probably expect to see silver come right along as well. Yes. Roger, yeah, I hear you, man. Silver and gold, right? From Rudolph the Red-Nosed, that the older version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Rudolph movie with the claymation action. Exactly. Silver and gold. Yeah, that one. I love it. It's great. Wannabe says it's supposed to get above freezing soon. He prematurely came out to the freezing shop. Oh, man. Yeah, boy, I don't miss the cold. I do not miss the cold. All right, so yeah, look at that. We could be on the run to break $2,000 an ounce for gold. That's freaking awesome. Now, I don't like why it's happening, because that can always give us some concerns, but it's great to see it, going up above 2,000 an ounce. Now, the other thing that we need to be thinking about, because this is why we have these discussions, is would we expect to see a big change in what our scrapyards are paying us for e-waste? And Chris, I'm not going to put you on the spot. You don't have to comment. My thoughts are they gotta be careful, right? They can't just react to these kind of short-term bubbles and rises. They have to have some assurance that there's staying power behind this. Remember, when Chris was up here, he was telling us that it can be months before he gets paid for a load of scrap. So I wouldn't be necessarily going to your scrapyard saying, I want to see, why aren't you paying me more money? Gold's going up. You should be paying me more money. We shouldn't be surprised if we see some prices go up a little bit. But yeah, as Chris just said, he'd like to see it hold for a little bit before he makes some changes. And I'm sure that that's what all of the e-waste buyers out there are thinking right now. It's like, let's see if this is going to hold before we commit to this. Let's see. Wannabe Scrapper from when you were in the North Atlantic Squadron. Huh? Sure. Yeah. Actually, hey, so here, wait a minute. Let's. So yeah, Wannabe's responding to my comment about being cold. Actually, Wannabe, it was from my Navy days, yes, but it was when we were in the Pacific, and this was back during the Cold War, and so we were up off the Aleutian Islands. Supposedly trying to find a Russian submarine, a Soviet submarine at the time. And boy, howdy, I have never been so cold in my freaking life. I mean, we're up there in the Aleutians. We're getting the bejesus beat out of us. I've never seen waves that big, consistently that big, and not have a hurricane out there somewhere. It was just unbelievable. And I'd be out there on unrep station, we'd be taking them aboard fuel or ammo or something like that. And by the time we'd get done in unrep, I would be a human popsicle, just covered in ice. I would have to beat myself against the bulkhead to knock the ice off of me so I could move again. It was a very interesting time for sure. That's why I don't exactly miss the cold. It's not so much that I hate the cold, it's just I don't miss the cold. All right. So we see this flight to safety, and folks are, that's going to drive the price of silver and gold for a while. Now, that actually, brings us to our safety minute. And I had a really interesting comment, and I'm going to bring this up because this, I found this to be such a great comment from Board Sort that I had to talk about it. So, got this comment from Board Sort on the video that I put up, on a recent video that I put up, where near the end of the video, I powered up one of the big hard disk drives. And let's see, wait a minute, get rid of that, do this. So, and it powered up and it made some funny noises and stuff like that. But anyway, Chris dropped me this comment, and I think this is great. I love powering up old equipment. We see some crazy machines sometimes. Personal lesson learned. And this is what I love about comments on my videos. People are happy to share the lessons learned that can be really useful for us. Make sure the device can be quickly evacuated should it suddenly burst into flames. And said device does not weigh 300 pounds. I recently fired up an old punch card sorting machine. Within seconds, a capacitor blew, which can look like fireworks. We did not realize the machine was full of 40-year-old punch card chads, little confetti. I know what he's talking about because I used to carry punch cards around. I mean, when I was learning how to program, that's what we were carrying around. Oh, that brings back bad memories too. Which ignited with a vengeance, hurling flames out any hole it could escape from. A fire extinguisher did no good as the fire was internal. The building that I did this in is an old timber flooring, and I just lit a 300-pound enclosed bonfire on top of it. We managed to put it out with buckets and got the pallet jack up under it and dragged its smoking carcass out of there, but I can still smell it to this day. Now, why is this comment, really important for us, and why does it drive home such an important safety comment? And that's, remember, not too long ago, I was talking about situational awareness. Now, the funny thing is, when I positioned that hard drive to start it up, I made sure that I could get to the door. I mean, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, all right, if this doesn't go well, I want to be able to get out of the building. It didn't occur to me that what I ought to be able to do is to get the device out of the building. So you want to, as part of situational awareness, you want to be thinking about this thing that Chris brought to mind, and that is, if something goes bad, what are you going to do to make it unbad, and what are the potential ramifications? If you have something that catches fire in your shop, how are you going to get it out of the shop? Can you put the fire out and then move it, and then you're going to have a bunch of smoke and stuff? Are you not going to be able to put it out? Is the building going to burn down? What do you have in your shop that could potentially ignite over the weekend if you're not there? And how are you going to monitor for that? And if something does go bad in your shop, how do you protect yourself, your employees, people that are there, so that they are safe as well? Electrocution is another good one too. If somebody starts doing the 120 dance, how can you get them? How do you stop the power? How do you get them off of the exposed cord or whatever it is that is shocking them? So yeah, you got to keep those kind of things in mind. Chris, I believe that you had told me at one point in the past that you had a battery fire as well. Oh, well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, not as messy as the battery situation, but still pretty scary. Yeah. And I have seen lithium ion batteries burn. When I was working in the underwater robotics field, we did testing with the Navy on lithium ion batteries, and how to, what kind of safeties we could put in place. What happens if the safeties didn't work? How bad would something actually burn? Those kind of things. Let me tell you, a lithium fire is a heck of a fire. I mean, it's just a lot of energy. So you definitely, you got to keep these kind of things in mind. And that's why, at a minimum, probably if you have a business and you're registered, you've got a company and a business and a location, chances are at a minimum, the fire department is going to show up and make sure you got fire extinguishers. And the idea is that the fire extinguishers are located so that people in the building can get to an exit and get out of the building. And they may need the fire extinguishers in order to get out of the building. So it's always something that you need to keep in mind there. And it'll get your attention. That's Scrapping Irish says, I bet you needed a new pair of pants after that. Oh, man. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, it's always funny. I can remember when we used to have when I was in the Navy, messages when a message gets sent, you have what's called a date time group that gets put on the message so that you know exactly when that message was sent, and it helps you to find these things. And it was not at all uncommon for us to see an unsafe situation, and frequently the term that we would use is, well, there's a safety report waiting for a date time group. Just, no matter how hard you try to be safe, no matter how hard you drill it into your head and into your employees to be safe and to pay attention, we're human and we're going to screw it up. And so that's why it's all about risk management and understanding how you're going to react when it goes south, because chances are something's going to go south. All right, well, let's get on now and talk about our stocks for the day. I know you're probably thinking to yourself, what is Sharky on about with the stocks, that we're going to clean up with and stuff like that. So remember that every week I get a updated edition of the Value Line Investment Survey. They do not take advertising. No, this is not a paid promotion in any way. I just use this, and I think it's a great source of information because they don't get any paid advertising. All of their data and analysis is, pretty spot on stuff, right? It's just numbers, and it's their best analysis of what the numbers are telling them. So this week in the update, they were looking at the building materials industry, the home building industry, the retail building industry, furnitures and finishes, paper and products, packaging and containers, household products, investment companies, and the power industry. Now, you might think that, I would have picked something like in the retail building stuff, Lowe's and Home Depot. You put those two together and you get Hose. Lowe's and Home Depot. Well, I didn't do that because they're one of them is not qualified by my standard. The other one doesn't have much of a dividend. So not very interesting from that perspective. However, there were two stocks in the household products that are kind of interesting to look at. They are right up in the area that has our interest. So the first one is Clorox. Come on, we all know Clorox, right? But I don't think we all know Clorox as well as we might think we do. So I thought this was pretty interesting. Clorox Company is a global manufacturer and marketer of consumer and professional products. Here's some of the brands that you may have heard of. In addition to Clorox, you got Pine Sol, Liquid Plumber, Tilex, Formula 409. You've also got vitamins, Renew Life, Rainbow Light, Natural, Neocell. You've got Cat Litter, Fresh Step, Scoop Away. Hey, E-Waste Mike, which one of those do you use for Earl? And Everclean. They have Glad Bags, Kingsford Charcoal, Hidden Valley. That's salad dressing, right? Hey, Cruiser Mac, great to see you here, man. And Burt's Bees, and then Brita water filter. So talk about being really diversified across a whole bunch of products that that the everyday person uses. There's some pretty good interest in this company, right? And it's fascinating to me the extent to which they are diversified. All right, now let's get into the numbers here real quick. One of the first things we can see is their interest is 3.1%, not exactly that 4% that that I like to look for. They have been over 4% in the past, so not that bad. But holy bajoli, $152 a share. I don't know about you, but I don't think I can afford $152 a share. Now, they're not qualified because we had all these downturns here for cash flow per share. They're not qualified for earnings per share for the same reasons, but they are qualified in the dividends per share because for the last 17 years, actually longer, they have increased their dividends per share every year. So they are what we call a Div Zero. They've had no infractions. And if we look at that graphically, what that looks like is, so here you've got the cash flow in the blue, the earnings per share in the green, and the dividends per share in the yellow. And this is really interesting right now because oops, wrong one. This is what I want. Because we can see that the dividends per share are outpacing earnings per share right now. So they got to get some stuff put back together there. I also thought it was interesting that you see here's 2019. So if we look at 2019 as sort of that period that COVID was coming in, you can see that they definitely had an uptick as people were buying cleaning products and disinfectants and stuff like that. And then it starts to fall off here as the world starts to open up. And a lot of this is supply chain and material factors impacting, their ability to meet demand as things start picking back up again. And then if we look at the changes from year to year, you can see this is why they're not qualified for cash flow or earnings per share, but the dividends per share are always above the zero line. All right, the other company that I thought was really interesting to look at is Kimberly-Clark. This is another one of these companies. It's household products. It's pretty well diversified here. Let's see. Did Mike answer the kitty litter question yet? No, he's probably not paying any attention. Kimberly-Clark develops, manufactures, and markets personal care products, Huggies, Pull-Ups, Little Swimmers, Good Nights, Kotex, Light Days, Depends, and Poise. Consumer tissue products like Kleenex, Scott, Cottonelle, and Viva. And then they have professional focus as well. So they also do similar kind of, wipes, towels, soaps, and sanitizers for big industries and such, and infection prevention and those kind of things. So, and they sell a lot of their stuff through Walmart. 13% of their sales are going through Walmart. Kimberly-Clark Now, if we look at the numbers, we see that they are got a great big purple line here. How did I do that? Man, I keep hitting that stupid big button. Anyway, there we go, 3.7. So that's closer to the 4% that really gets us interested. But man, that's still a lot of money, $126 a share. You know, that you got to, and unless you're investing through one of those companies that lets you buy fractional shares, and they're out there, you know, you got to come up with at least 120 bucks, 126 bucks to buy a share of this. So that's a little bit steep for folks, but you know, it's a good, solid company. Oh, wait a minute. Mike says that, here, wait a minute. Mike says that Earl now uses the toilet. And he's just got to teach him how to flush. Hey, there you go. That saves up, man. That could save it up. Very good. All right, cool. So back to Kimberly-Clark here. They had a lot of down years for their cash flow and their earnings per share. So we don't even need to look at that, but look at their dividends. Their dividends per share went up every year for the last 17 years. So they are a div 0. And if we look at what this looks like graphically, well, that looks a lot like what we saw from Clorox, except that in here, they are, oops, let's get the right button, except you can see that they are not, their earnings per share are not below their dividend per share. So they're in a little more comfortable situation right now than Clorox. And then if we look at the year-to-year change, here's all those times that they were negative for cash flow or earnings per share or had down years, but the dividends are always above the 0 line. All right, well, let's take a look at laying them one across the other. So here's Clorox in the red, Kimberly-Clark in the bluish purple color. And you can see, you know, they're kind of, you know, tracking along here. And then they both, you know, have a nice climb coming out of COVID. They both deal with some supply chain and material issues, and now they're starting to get that turned around again. Earnings per share, similar kind of situation going on here. And then down here, we've got dividends per share. Hey, both of them coming up nice. They both look really good there. They're both, you know, kind of in the same ballpark. But as we saw, Kimberly-Clark has a little bit higher at 3.7 for about the same kind of price range. Yeah, that's both of them are, you know, reasonable companies to invest in if you got that kind of money. Now, you know, it kind of brings us back to the question, because earlier we were talking about gold and silver, a lot of people moving into safety and out of riskier investments. And let's face it, stocks are risky investments. But if you do these kind of analysis on companies and you look at the long-term history of a company, you can mitigate some of that risk that's involved. Now, you can't mitigate everything. There's just stocks bring risk, right? And so you've got to ask yourself, is what they're paying me worth the risk? And that's going to be in the dividends that you get from them, and then in the growth of the value of the stock itself. So that when you sell that stock sometime in the future, will you make more money on it? I'm a dividend investor. I have what portfolio I have is diversified so that I get money coming in all the time, and that helps me. I don't buy stocks to sell them right away. I'm a buy and hold kind of investor. That's just the way I do it. Now, there are a lot of people that do day trading and short-term trading and things like that. It's a whole different game. And I don't even want to talk about it because I don't do it. And on the rare occasion that I did try to do that, I got my clock cleaned every time. So I just don't, that's not the way I approach stocks anymore. I approach a stock the way Warren Buffett approaches stocks. And that's because when I was getting my MBA and I was my professor that was teaching us how to evaluate companies, he was, a Warren Buffett protege. And he explained to us a lot of the things that Buffett has put out. And essentially what you have to keep in mind is that you have to consider yourself as part of the company. You're buying a piece of that company. And so you don't look at it so much as trading when you're an investor, but is it a decent company that's going to continue to make money and be able to pay you the dividends and that you're going to be okay being a part of. So electronic scrapper. No, I'm not all in Coke. I am in Coca-Cola. Hey, that reminds me. Thank you. Coke Zero. I'm trying to cut down on the sugar. Anyway, so I'm not all in on Coke, but I do have Coca-Cola stock. Board sort, lost my ass in the late 90s day trading. Yeah, man, I tell you what, that's a hard one, man. That's tough. It's just, I can't really ever say that I was a day trader, but I did try my hand at trading for a while. And it's not anything that I decided to stick with. So instead, I just try to find good quality companies that are going to pay me decent dividends. And I invest in myself, learning how to run the scrap business. I'm investing in myself. So let's see, what does Wannabe says, I approach stocks like I approach bears, warily, and then I run away. Oh man, I love it. That is so freaking hilarious. Let's see. So, the old saying about bears, right? You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the person next to you. And so how would you twist that to the stock market? You just have to make more than the person that bought after you. You just have to get out before the person that bought after. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's let's see. JR Cat bought 11,000. Is that $11,000 or 11,000 shares of Delpha, and it went tits up. Yeah, it happens, man. That sucks when that happens. Board sort, I had a level 2 NASDAQ account where you could see the market maker stacks. Actually, you know what? I had a friend whose favorite was Maker's Mark. But that's bourbon, isn't it? Whiskey of some sort. Shares, 11,000 shares. Yeah. I did that once too with a stock, and man, I was convinced that stock was going to do great, and I put a bunch of money in it, and about a month later, it tanked. I mean, and that's why I used to say that before I got my MBA, my investment strategy was to buy high and wait till the company went bankrupt and lose everything. So I am much more careful now, much more careful. All right, so that brings us to our next comment, our next issue, and that is comments. Before we dive into comments on YouTube, I do want to remind everybody of a couple of things. Remember, we are now supporting the Atlantic Shark expeditions. So the donations, my Patreon subscribers, a portion of all of your money goes to Atlantic Shark expeditions. And if you want to donate for tagging sharks, you can send money to me by PayPal or check or, super chats or whatever, but just please make sure to tell me that, you want it to go to the Sharks, because we will be working with these folks to get the first tag for the great white sharks off Nova Scotia. This is going to be a really interesting group to work with. They run expeditions in Florida, the Bahamas, and off Nova Scotia. You do not have to be scuba qualified. You can snorkel. You can do it from the boat. Like with the great white shark stuff, you can be up on the boat. And I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to go out on the great white shark expeditions, and if I do, if I'm going to be getting in the water, because it's really cold, right? The heck with the sharks. It's just really cold water up there. Yeah, that's what I keep telling myself. So anyway, the Atlantic Shark Expeditions, really looking forward to working with them as we move forward. Now, the other thing that, and this one, I hate to, this is where it hurts sometimes when people we know have some hard times, but I'm sure that everybody on here knows CU Scrapping had his truck repossessed, and he's trying to figure out what's going to come next. We have been putting money in a GoFundMe account for Roger, and the account is doing really well. So for everybody who has donated, I thank you very, very much, helping Roger to get back up on his feet again. He is still trying to figure out what he's going to do. Last correspondence with Roger, and he put up a video on this as well. They won't let him just bring the truck up, to the pay up. He's got to pay off the entire note. And that's 13,000-ish or something like that. That's not going to happen. So he's got to find a different option. Essentially, he's not going to be able to get that truck back again. Bush Dog, absolutely. I got Scrapping Irish is going to drop the link for the GoFundMe. There it is right there. So there's the link for the GoFundMe for Roger. So we're trying to help Roger get back on his feet again, and we will, we'll see what direction Roger can go in. Bottom line is he's going to have to get a different vehicle. So that's going to be, what can he get with the funds that are showing up in his GoFundMe account. Roger's a good, hard-working scrapper. Bad things happen to good people sometimes. And one of the things I love about this community is the way that we come together to help each other out. It really is awesome sometimes. I'm going to leave that up there, as well as it's in the chat for folks to see that. Let's talk about YouTube comments for a minute while we leave this screen up here. There we go. So YouTube comments. I think everybody here leaves comments on the. I recognize comments from all of you in my videos, and I've seen you leave comments on other ones. Comments are actually more important than a lot of us think sometimes. One of the things that your comments do is it tells the YouTube algorithm that there's engagement going on from that video. And that for creators is important, because that way the algorithm knows what kind of audience to put a video in front of. And the better the algorithm understands a person's channel and the videos that are on their channel, the better the algorithm can be at putting videos in front of people who are going to enjoy watching that content. Now, one of the questions that a lot of people frequently ask is, well, what if I just give a thumbs up emoji or a smiley face? Is that good enough? It's better than nothing. Absolutely. The YouTube algorithm still recognizes that as engagement, and it's a good thing. Negative comments are also, the algorithm also sees negative comments as engagement. And, I got to tell you, as, having received some negative comments in my videos, there's a couple of different kinds, right? When somebody says to me, you probably should have tried to do it a different way, or have you thought about trying this approach? Now, some people might take that as a negative comment. I take that as a learning experience. And I have learned a lot from folks who have shared those kind of comments with me in my videos. And so I encourage that kind of interaction. Just because you see me do it a certain way doesn't mean that that's the best way to do it. That's what works for me. And there may be other ways that I hadn't even thought of yet. So I love when I get those kind of comments. And I can adjust the way I do things sometimes because of those comments that people have given me. So I really appreciate it because I learn a lot from the comments, even if they're, they might be construed as negative comments. Now, the other issue is, like if you're just saying, you're an idiot, or, you're stupid, why bother? Right? All you're doing is satisfying yourself when you leave comments like that. You're really not helping the person at all. All right. Now, there are times when I have had to leave comments on a video because the person in the video was doing something very dangerous. And either they didn't know they were doing something dangerous, or they knew they were doing something dangerous, but they just wanted to get views. And so I have left comments about, that's a very dangerous practice. You probably shouldn't be doing that. You really ought to be wearing eye protection, things like that. The intent there is not to just slam the person that put the video, but to provide meaningful feedback so that if people read those comments, they'll know that, okay, maybe I need to be careful. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Or to help that person that's putting up those videos, to be safer as well. Comments are good. And I encourage comments on my YouTube videos. I love interacting with people on my YouTube videos. So it's, and if you're leaving comments for people, just kind of think, what would you want to see on your videos? If you put up a video, what kind of comments, are good for you? Even if they're not 100%, hey, you did a great job. If they're trying to provide you feedback, that's important too. So you definitely want to, keep that in mind. Emojis are fine. Nothing wrong with that. And the more you interact through comments, the better. So both as a creator and as a participant in the channel. As a creator, I try to respond to every comment that I get. And what I find that's interesting is, hey, Simon Kelchcrapper, great to see you, man. And what I find interesting is that there are some comments that get put in the held for review category. And I don't know why they were held for review. Now, I have a dirty word list that I have, you can put banned words and words for hold, so that if those words are included in a comment, it'll go in the held for review category. And then you go in and look at them and you see if you're going to publish that comment or not. But there's some of them that I don't know why it was put in the held for review at all. So that part of the algorithm, I don't fully understand. But it's important that you look at the held for review as well. Let's see. Wait a minute. Simon, what you got to say here? What about PCB scrap prices? We see a 10 to 20% on all grades. What about your location, guys? Up, down, or the same? So, Simon, we were just chatting about with the prices of gold going up, if we should expect to see our board prices going up. And Chris from BoardSword provided some good feedback from the perspective of a yard owner, suggesting that they're going to want to see some legs to the price increases before they increase their prices. So we're probably not going to see a whole lot of price increases. We might see a little bit, but most yards are probably going to hold off a little bit before they start increasing prices. So somebody made a comment about, wait a minute, I got to find this comment because, oh yeah, here we are. So Cruiser Mac says, I think the algorithm knows when it's E-Waste Mike's comments. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they have a special filter for Mike or not. Yeah. You just don't know about that one. And then let's see. There was another one here that darn it, I've lost it. Oh, well, that happens sometimes. Oh, well, I can't find the other comment that I wanted to bring up. So here's an example of something that I wanted to share, a comment that that I think should help us as we prepare to move into Scrapping Irish's live stream here in a few minutes. Oh, wait a minute, Bush Dog, what are you saying here? Mike has his own category with a team on YouTube. Yeah, there's people paying attention to him special. So I want to throw up this comment that Ian Matthews left on my last video. So this was the video where I wrapped up the traffic control system with what I made. And fortunately, I did make some money, and there's still the potential to make some more money. So right now I'm on the positive, almost $500 on in profit from that traffic control system. So Ian Matthews said, I think your closing statement said it all. New, fun, and didn't lose out. A very interesting series. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring this comment up is because I frequently talk about the importance of time and making money in a business. I am technically a scrapyard. I'm in Florida. I have a secondary metal recycler's license. I have a secondhand dealer's license. I'm a scrapyard. I'm just not very big, but I'm a business and I have to make money. And so, like all businesses, when we're out there trying to make money, we've got to balance what we spend our time on. Now, some would argue that the time that I spent on that particular system, that traffic control system, was it worth the time that I spent breaking it down and making the video and stuff? Well, when you're running a business, part of the decision is about where you spend your time is not just how much or where am I going to make the most money, because sometimes you have to do things in your business that don't exactly bring you the most money. And I have found, for my business, because a big part of my business are my videos and my YouTube channel, it's important to me to share the content on YouTube. So the time that I spend making the videos is important to me. Do I make more money doing that than I do breaking down, certain types of computers and stuff? No, I don't. Some people have said, well, why are you collecting this or that? You're not making that much money on this or that, my street scrapping videos and stuff. Again, because what's important to me and the definition of my business is sharing stuff on YouTube and giving back to the planet. So sometimes that means the things that I do are not going to be as cost effective or have as high a profit margin as some other things that I might do. And it's a constant balance that I have to run on what to spend my time on and where to put the effort. There are just some things that, once I run the numbers on it, I realize, that's not worth my time, like power supply units. Once I did the cost benefit analysis of the time spent to break down a power supply unit, I realized that, where I make the most money is by just cutting off the wire and selling the power supply unit as a power supply unit with no wire, and then the wire as number 2 insulated copper wire, because that's where I get the most bang for my buck. Now, what you see in that video is if I strip it all the way down and I sell the boards and the pieces off of the boards and that kind of stuff, yeah, I'm going to make a little bit more money in gross dollar value, but I don't make nearly as much money from a dollar per hour perspective. So that's the balance that we run all the time when we're doing this as a business. But the thing that Ian's comment brings out is that it was new and it was fun. So that's the other part of running a business is, if all you're doing is cranking out the same thing day after day after day after day, you're going to get burned out doing it, and it's not going to be fun anymore. And if it's not fun anymore and you're burned out doing it, you're probably not going to keep doing it, and then you're not going to be making any money anyway. So it's always good to bring in some new stuff, something that's a little bit different. It might take you more time to analyze that, to break it down. Hey, that was weird. I got kicked out. All right. I kind of think that means that is that Comcast telling me I was prattling on too much? Oh man. All right. Hey, I tell you what, I think I'm going to take the hint here. We're still a little bit early. We've got about 4 minutes or so before Scrapping Irish comes up. But you know what? This actually is interesting because, I can see you all are still there. I've been able to pop back in, and that's part of the benefit of using StreamYard. There are a lot of streaming services that are out there. Because I was using StreamYard, when I got kicked out, which could have been who knows what, I have no idea why it shut down like that, but it kept the stream open. I was able to get back in and keep going. I'm really enjoying using StreamYard to do these streams. Very easy to use. So Scrapping Irish, we are going to be headed over in your direction. Folks, Scrapping Irish will kick off at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's got about 3 or 4 minutes here. I don't know if he's going to be able to get his live stream up here a little bit early because I'm having technical issues apparently. But if you have autoplay enabled, then what will happen is you will be taken directly over to Scrapping Irish's live stream when I end this broadcast. You'll be redirected right over there. You don't have to do anything. Or you might get a link. If you don't have autoplay enabled, you should get a link to go over to Scrapping Irish's live stream. If you don't, then I encourage you to go on YouTube and look up Scrapping Irish and come join us all on his live stream, which is going to be starting here very shortly. Sorry about that little glitch right there near the end. Those kind of things happen. Yes, JR Cat, I paid my cable bill. I'm back up here. I don't know what went on there. This nice day, it's not even storming. So I will see you all over on Scrapping Irish's live stream. Have a great day, everybody.